What's happening, people? I hope you're all well. So right now I'm here with Aaron, and we're going to talk about Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford, the fight that took place this weekend, just gone. So did you want to quickly introduce yourself, Aaron, and then we'll get this thing going, man?
Hi guys, I'm Aaron, big boxing fan. I'll say I've been watching boxing religiously for about maybe 6 to 7 years now. So relatively new into it, but I do try and watch boxing at all levels, so I can give a good insight of fights.
Yeah, man, it's definitely, I've spoke to you before, your boxing knowledge is on point. So, me and Aaron, we met at the gym and we just been going back and forth with boxing talks. So I got Aaron on here today, and I'll start off with you. So what were your thoughts? Because I know we spoke about the fight before it happened. What were your thoughts on the fight after watching it compared to what you were expecting beforehand?
Okay, I would say the two main things that caught you by surprise is I actually thought the size difference would be a bit bigger. I think Spence obviously is a natural welterweight, been fighting at welterweight all of his career. Obviously Crawford moved up from lightweight, but in the ring it wasn't too much of a size difference, so I was a bit shocked with that. The second thing was the speed difference was crazy. That's one thing that really caught me out from round one. I think the speed difference, I was not expecting it. So that's probably two big things I'll take away from that fight.
I hear that, definitely. I mean, I thought Spence was still the bigger man, but it wasn't like a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because I know you picked Spence, didn't you?
I think Spence on points, yeah.
So what was your what surprised you with regard? I know you said with regards to the physical attributes and stuff. What surprised you the most about the actual how the fight went in the ring?
Crawford's strength. In the first round, Spence tried to grab him and Crawford just pushed him off. And one of my key factors why I thought Spence would win is because he'll use his physicality up close. He'll be too strong, whipping them body shots. And I thought they would take a toll on Crawford. Obviously, he didn't let Spence come on the inside, pushed him off straight away. And he was already setting his stance. Spence, obviously a methodical fighter, had to reset, leaving him vulnerable to shots. So we obviously saw how that played out at the end.
Yeah, man, definitely. The one thing that shocked me was the way that Crawford, being the shorter man, was actually appeared stronger in there, physically stronger. So once you take that away from Spence, that was going to be one of his main things. If you were on the Spence side of the fence before the fight, you'd be arguing about physical strength. But actually, Crawford looked stronger in there.
Yeah, he did.
So I think that was the main thing. I think one of the things that surprised me, although I was picking Crawford, but I wasn't picking him with confidence. One of the things that surprised me was how he was dominant all the way through, because I thought if Crawford was going to win, it could be a case where like it's even, or even Spence is winning the fight and then Crawford catches him, because I thought Crawford struggled against Porter. And I think against Avanesium had some success as well. Truth be told, Kell Brook was actually outboxing Crawford before he got stopped.
For the first 3 rounds, yeah, he was. He was.
So I thought that, I thought that if anything, it would be a close fight or Spence be winning, and then Crawford would just catch, because Crawford has a knack of, I think he's getting more rated for it now, but I think he's got a knack of picking the right, finding the right shot, a fight-ending shot. Like he did that against Crawford, he did that against Porter, he did that. Amir Khan was a bit of a weird one, and then he did that again against, Spence Jr. was just domination, but he has a knack of finding the right punches, and I thought that might happen. But yeah, man, I'm surprised. I thought if anyone was going to win, it'd be him, but not like that.
Not like that. That was domination from round one. You know what it is? In the second round, halfway through the second round, before Errol Spence got dropped, he actually started to out-jab Errol Spence, and that's when I knew, as an Errol Spence fan, he's not winning this fight, because one of my key points is I thought Errol Spence would be able to out-jab Crawford, and when he took away Errol Spence's jab, that's one of Errol Spence's set-up shots. He sets everything up with the jab, so when that was taken away, I just knew, this is going to be a long night for Errol Spence.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? The first punch that got him, I didn't realise it was kind of late at night, and I was kind of just like watching it. But when I watched the replay, it was a jab. It was a jab that floored him the first time.
Literally. well placed jab, and that's when I was. It's weird because obviously when you see fighters that have never been dropped before, it's kind of like it's a surreal moment. I've seen Spence dropped in the second round. I've never seen Spence dropped, and I was like, wow, Crawford was quick, and I just knew from then there's no way back for Errol Spence in this fight.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point you made. When someone gets dropped for the first time, it's like a weird thing for a lot of people to see. I remember when Anthony Joshua got dropped against Klitschko, and my friend, I think, was saying, it was just weird to see him on the floor. Because that was when Joshua, everyone was going on like he was like the best thing since sliced bread back then. And then he got dropped. It's kind of like that invincibility factor kind of gone. But I think that Spence... Do you think, I'm going to ask you this, do you think that Spence a few years ago, before the car crash, would have put up a better performance?
100%. I don't think he would have won, but definitely would have given a better account of himself, because I've actually seen him faster, more fluid in the ring, aka against Kell Brook, against other people. He seemed a lot more fresher, faster. If you actually look at it, just after the car crash, there was warning signs against Danny Garcia, especially against Ugas as well, but I think the fan in me just said, I'm going to ignore that and try and think of Spence from 5-6 years ago. But if you saw it then, you knew the warning signs were there.
Yeah, I think against Ugas, we spoke, I think I brought out with you in the gym, I think against Ugas, I see him getting hurt, and it's like, when you have that sort of instant happen to you, like a car crash or something, sometimes the impact of that doesn't necessarily show itself at first. It's like, because they're fighting at world level where the margins are small, so it's like, you know, it's like he might go in there against like someone who's not that good or worse, and then it doesn't really matter. But when it's the fine margins, and then like you never know how that damaged his brain, or like slow down his reactions, or you know, knocks a spring off his step. Like when we're dealing with the finest of margins, it's that kind of thing that can make a difference. And didn't he have a retina injury as well?
He did, yeah. He was going to fight Manny Pacquiao, I believe so. Had to pull out that fight. That's when Ugas stepped in, obviously won the belt and set up Errol Spence versus Ugas. So yeah.
So you never know, that could have been a factor. And let me ask you this as well. Are you surprised that Crawford fought the whole fight in the southpaw stance?
I'm not, just because I think he's much better at southpaw than he is orthodox. But I know normally two southpaws traditionally are very boring. There's not really a lot of action going on. But I did think, was that something good? I was a little bit surprised, but at the same time, I thought that Crawford would fight southpaw, just because I think he's more comfortable in that stance. Yeah,
because I was thinking whether Crawford would go for orthodox or southpaw, but I remember against Brook, he was getting out boxed as an orthodox.
Exactly, as an orthodox, and as soon as he changed, the fight was really over. That's why.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, man, I think I don't know if there's too many more points to go through, but I just think overall, my brief summary of it is really that I was surprised at the physical strength, which you already alluded to. I was surprised that Spence was... I felt like Spence looked weaker in there physically.
100%. I agree with you.
I feel like Spence was doing a lot just to stay in the fight. It was like he was putting an effort in just to stay in the fight.
Exactly. Even from round one, to be honest with you, you can even see in his eyes, I think he was doing so much just to keep up with Crawford in the first round.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, see, normally Spence is a very laid-back, relaxed guy. I've never seen him with his eyes open, as focused as he was in round one, just to keep up with Crawford. Not even attack, just to literally be in the same ring as Crawford. So that did shock me.
Yeah. And I think one other key point to make is Crawford's timing. Like, he just had the time. He was relaxed. Like, he looked like he was like walking in like water, like, you know, like just slow. But
yeah, everything was like a sparring session with him. He didn't really go out third gear, to be honest with you, in the whole fight.
And it's horrible, like, because I've been in the gym, like, obviously at a much lower level, but I've been in the gym sparring, and it's like I've sparred some people who, they're not as quick as me, but their timing is just like the jab. You can almost see it coming, but it still hits you. I don't know if you've ever been there before. Like,
even I had a conversation with a former boxer called Tom Little, and he was talking about sparring Joe Joyce. Obviously, we know Joe Joyce is not the fastest guy in the world, but he's like, you can see his punches coming, but he just can't stop it.
Yeah.
So time beats speed. So yeah.
Exactly, because it didn't. Crawford, I know he was quick, but I felt it was the time. It was like the jab couldn't miss. It's like these punches couldn't miss, and whenever he decided, Yeah.
Couldn't miss him. Even with the second knockdown in round 7, that hook was beautiful. Errol Spence landed something, timed him perfectly. It was a perfect shot. Perfect shot.
Yeah. So I that was one thing that really stuck out to me, the timing, and it was just like, because had his time and he was so relaxed. It's like he was walking through like a swimming pool. Like, obviously you're slower when you're walking through water, just like he was just so relaxed in there, and he had the timing. And so I'm going to ask you 2 questions. The first one is have you got any last points you want to make about the fight itself, just before?
About the fight itself, like I said, with Errol Spence, I don't want to blame the car crash, but you could definitely tell that this wasn't the vintage Errol Spence. Everything about him was off. He looked really drained in the ring, like really drained in the ring. His eyes were yellow, everything about him. I just think if the time is going to move up, you need to do it now. Don't stay that way anymore, because you'll fight a young fighter who will beat you. So I think he needs to move up now. My second point with Crawford, about the fight as well, is we've seen Crawford is, I think now this win really solidifies him as pound for pound number 1. I think before this fight, you had a case to say it, but he didn't have the resume to back it. What we've seen him do to arguably number 1 welterweight in the world, you have to put him as pound for pound number 1 now, 100%.
I hear that. I think it's like him. It's close between him, Inoue, possibly Usyk. But the final question I want to ask you is, what is next for both fighters in your opinion? If you're managing both fighters, what is the best thing for each fighter to do?
Okay, let's start with Terence Crawford. He's 35. I think there's 2 things you could do. If you're just there for legacy and you believe in your own abilities, jump up to 154. Let's see what happens with Charlo. If he's going to retain his belts or vacate them, obviously. If he retains them, fight him straight away. Don't even have a warm-up. Fight him straight away. His time is not on your side. And don't fight someone at 154 you could risk losing to. So I would say for him, just try and become a freeweight undisputed champion. Also as well with Crawford, I would say, if you're confident, fight Jaron Ennis, because I think you could beat him, but I think stylistically that's a harder fight for him than Errol Spence. So it depends how you feel, really.
And then what about Spence Jr.? What's next for him?
I think he should stay well clear of the rematch, whether it's at welterweight or 154. I think it's not so much a weight. I just think it's down to technique, down to speed, down to the way Errol Spence fights. So I think you need to stay away from that rematch. In terms of him moving up a weight as well, with Errol Spence, he fights a big man's fight. So his game kind of gets muted at 154. So I think with Derek James, I have to work on a couple technical stuff if he's going to carry on boxing, because that beating was a hellacious beating and that could really mess up someone's career. So yeah, either move up to 154 or call it a day.
I hear that, man. Those are some good points, man. And I think that with Spence, it really is telling, like, he's going to have a think. That, as you said, it was a big beating. It's not even just the physical. How does he deal with that mentally? Some fighters don't care. Some fighters, Derek Chisora, he wouldn't care if that happened to him. He'd be back. But, Errol Spence, this is the first time it's happened. So let's see. And as for Crawford, he could go up to 154, but as you say, time's not on his side. They want to probably, if he's thinking about legacy, then they're going to manage him carefully. If it's about money, then they'll probably go to 154 and try and see what they can do there and not care about losing. But something tells me they're going to be very careful with what they do with him now, because obviously he's got that reputation. What, 2-weight? Is it 2-weight undisputed?
2-weight undisputed champion. Yeah,
they'll move carefully with him because they don't want to ruin the legacy, in my opinion. So, and as for Spence Jr., he think about retirement and it's very much how he deals with it. Maybe he'll have a fight. If he fights, he needs to step down the levels. Maybe fight someone
a big level. Someone like, if he's gonna go to 154, but I know he's already fought him, but a level of an Ocampo, someone like that. So top 15, top 20ish 154. You don't want to fight anyone that's a live dog after beating like that.
Yeah, definitely have a tune-up. So, yeah, man. Thank you for joining me on this video.
No problem.
And hopefully we'll do more. You're a very knowledgeable guy. You know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
And
likewise.
Sometimes you'll say some things and I'm like, oh, shit, I never thought about that, man. So it's good. But yeah, man. All right, so that's that video. Thank you to Aaron for joining me, and make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you get a notification when I make a new video, and make sure you leave your thoughts about what we spoke about in the comment section below, and I'll see you on the next video.